Hello everyone. In this session, we will briefly see life cycle of servlet. So in the previous sessions, we have discussed a lot about CGI approach and Java servlet approach. So now we will see about life cycle of servlet in detail. So in servlet life cycle, there are three important methods. The methods are init. The first method is init method. Then the next method is a service method, and the last method is a destroy method. So these are three important methods in servlet lifecycle. If you remember your applet lifecycle, then in case of Java applet, we are having a 5 methods, and the methods are init, start, paint, pause, and destroy. So Java servlet is nothing but advanced version of Java applet. I have given you an example in the last session how the transformation is happened in Konkan Railway from CGI technique to Java applet technique, and from Java applet to higher versions of Java, that is Java servlet and some other versions, okay, to show that particular online train tracking system, right? So if you see this particular life cycle of Java servlet, then life cycle of Java servlet is inspired or started from life cycle of Java applet. In applet, we are having a 5 methods, so initialization, then start. Okay, these two methods are very related method, initialization and start. So these are the related method. The next method is a paint method. The paint method is actual execution method, and next two methods are pause and destroy. So again, there are two related methods. So in case of servlet, instead of keeping 5 methods, what application developer has suggested that instead of 5 methods, we can only use 3 methods. Okay, and these 3 methods are nothing but initialization, then next is a service, that is the actual execution, and the last one is a destroy. So two methods which are present in the applet are not present in a servlet. The start method and pause method is not present in a Java servlet, but the functionalities for a start method and pause methods are available internally in case of Java servlet. तेव्हा स्टार्ट मेथड आणि पॉज मेथड जे काम करते ॲपलेटमध्ये तेच काम ओके इथे इंटरनली केलं जातं. तेव्हा ॲपलेटमध्ये काय होतं, रिपिटेशन होत होतं. इनिशियलायझेशन आणि स्टार्ट मेथड या जवळपास सिमिलर मेथड्स होत्या. त्यानंतर पॉज अँड डिस्ट्रॉय जवळपास सिमिलर मेथड्स होत्या. त्याचं रिपिटेशन आपण इथे टाळलं, म्हणजे ॲप्लिकेशन डेव्हलपरने ते रिपिटेशन काढून टाकलं आणि त्याऐवजी फक्त इनिट आणि डिस्ट्रॉय अशा 2 मेथड कन्सिडर केल्या. आणि पेंट मेथडच्या ऐवजी आता ॲक्च्युली इथे आपल्याला पेंट करायचं नाही आहे. इथे काय करायचं आहे, प्रत्येक इनपुट रिक्वेस्ट क्लायंट रिक्वेस्टला आपल्याला सर्व्हिस प्रोव्हाइड करायची आहे. त्यामुळे मेथडचं नाव काय दिलं, सर्व्हिस दिलं. ओके, सो सेम थिंग विच इज अवेलेबल इन द जावा ॲपलेट, सेम थिंग समवॉट सेम थिंग इज अवेलेबल इन द जावा सर्वलेट. त्यासारखंच बऱ्यापैकी इथे अवेलेबल आहे, परंतु कारण ते एक्सटेन्शन आहे त्या टेक्नॉलॉजीचं. ओके, नाव the thing is that in case of applet, we have already discussed about it in core Java programming, that is initialization and start method is executed only once at the starting of our applet, whereas paint method is executed n number of times depending upon the request from the client. Okay, depending upon the painting application, okay, we can execute that paint method n number of times. And there is one more method, that's the repaint method. Okay, repaint method internally calls a paint method n number of times, and then destroy method or pause that particular destroy method is executed only once within a life cycle of applet. Once destroy method is executed, memory is deallocated and you cannot enter that in that applet again. Okay, if you want to show the output of a applet again, in that case you have to start from a init method. Similarly, in case of servlet also, init method of a servlet and destroy method of a servlet, okay, is executed only once. Okay, I am trying to write, okay, because the board is not available here. Okay, so you can understand. Okay, I have written here init and here it is destroy. Init method and destroy method is executed only once. init is executed for initialization of servlet, and destroy is executed, okay, when we want to deallocate the memory for the servlet. But service method can be executed n number of times depending upon the client request. If client requests for a particular service n times, then we can execute that service method n times. But once you have executed that destroy method, you cannot enter in that servlet again. If you want to enter, or if you want to use the services of a servlet again, in that case you have to start from a init method. So same rules are applicable, the rules which are given for a applet. Okay, but instead of 5 methods, we are having only 3 methods. Right. So same thing is depicted in this particular diagram. This is the start point, loading and instantiation. And for loading and instantiation, we are using a init method. Okay, once this init method is executed, that servlet is initialized and now ready for a service. Okay, once this servlet is ready for a service, we can execute a service method, and we are handling a request. Okay, one request is handled. Okay, we can come back to our ready state again. We can come back to a ready state. Okay, so it is not required that we have handled one client request, you have to deallocate the memory, or we have to call a destroy method directly. It is not required. Okay, so we have started the server at 8 p.m. in the morning, 8 a.m. in the morning. Okay, and then first client request comes to your server at 8:05 p.m. Okay, you have executed that request, given the output. Okay, after 2 minutes, then you can patiently wait in a ready state. Your server or Java servlet can patiently wait, okay, in a ready state, okay, for a next request. So next request comes at 8:15. You can process or execute that request and give the output. Again you can wait for a next client request, and so on. This activity can continue. It is not required that once you have completed first request or one client request, you have to stop the execution. It is not required. Okay, so you can wait in a ready state. So waiting in a ready state is nothing but a pause. Okay, internally we can call it as a pause things, right? Okay, so for every request we are using a one thread. So end of a request thread is given, because for every input request we are using, or we are creating one thread. Once that request is processed, where request thread is completed. So that thread is completed, but our process is not stop. Okay, we are running a process. Okay, for a next request we are creating a new thread. So within a process you can create n number of threads. We have seen it in a multi-threading in core Java. Within single process we can create n number of threads. There is no need to create a separate process. We can use n number of threads, okay, within one process, and we can share the memory, okay, for process. एका प्रोसेसला जी मेमरी दिलेली असते त्याला आपण शेअर करू शकतो वेगवेगळ्या थ्रेड्समध्ये. ठीक आहे, तेव्हा सेपरेट थ्रेड्स बनवण्याची काही आवश्यकता नाही आहे आपल्याला. ओके, ह्याच्यासाठी एक तुम्हाला चांगलं उदाहरण देतो मी. ठीक आहे, ज्या वेळेला कोणतंही राज्य किंवा नवीन प्रदेश ज्या वेळेला स्वतंत्र होतो किंवा फॉर्म होतो, ओके, 1961मध्ये महाराष्ट्र आपला काय झाला, फॉर्म झाला, राईट ना. ओके, आणि त्याच्या आधी गुजरात आणि महाराष्ट्र एकत्र होता. ओके, एकत्र प्रदेश होता, मुंबई राज्य म्हटलं जायचं. ओके, भारत स्वतंत्र 1947 साली झाला होता, परंतु मुंबई राज्य 1961पर्यंत अस्तित्वात होतं. 1961 नंतर आपण स्वतंत्र झालो. ओके, आता महत्त्वाची गोष्ट अशी आहे ह्या सगळ्यामध्ये, ज्या वेळेला महाराष्ट्र स्वतंत्र झाला, ओके, महाराष्ट्र स्वतंत्र झाल्यानंतर, ओके, किंवा कुठलाही प्रदेश, आता फक्त महाराष्ट्र गुजरात हे महत्त्वाचं नाही आहे, कोणताही प्रदेश स्वतंत्र झाल्यानंतर, इंडिपेंडंट झाल्यानंतर ज्या गोष्टी आवश्यक आहेत, की जी ऑफिसेस आवश्यक आहेत त्याची एस्टॅब्लिशमेंट स्टार्ट होते. ओके, एक्झाम्पलसाठी आपण एज्युकेशनचा विचार करू, मग गव्हर्नमेंट पॉलिटेक्निकची आवश्यकता आहे, त्यामुळे ते एस्टॅब्लिश व्हायला स्टार्ट होतात. ज्या वेळेला एखादं गव्हर्नमेंट पॉलिटेक्निक एस्टॅब्लिश केलं जातं, एक्झाम्पलसाठी गव्हर्नमेंट पॉलिटेक्निक मालवण 1985मध्ये एस्टॅब्लिश केलं गेलं. एस्टॅब्लिश केल्यानंतर सुरुवातीला काही ब्रँचेस, काही ट्रेड्स स्टार्ट केले गेले. तेव्हा सुरुवातीच्या काळामध्ये 2 किंवा 3 ट्रेड्सवर आपण काम सुरू केलं होतं, आणि त्यानंतर जशी रिक्वायरमेंट वाढली तेव्हा त्याच कॉलेजेसच्या प्रिमायसेसमध्ये, इन्स्टिट्यूटच्या प्रिमायसेसमध्ये आपण काय केलं, एक्सपान्शन केलं. ओके, म्हणजे काय, प्रोसेस एकच आहे, आपण काय मल्टिपल थ्रेड्स बनवतो, एक्सपान्शन करतो. पुढच्या काळामध्ये जर आपल्याला अजून काही गरज असेल तर आपण अजून एक्सपान्शन करू शकतो. कदाचित जागेची कमतरता असेल तर अजून जागा एक्वायर केलं गव्हर्नमेंट, किंवा अजून प्रिमायसेस, बिल्डिंग्स, कन्स्ट्रक्शन ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टी करू शकतो. परंतु आहे त्या ठिकाणी आपण युटिलायझेशन करू शकतो आणि एक्सपान्शन पण करू शकतो. ओके, अँड दिट इज अ बेटर टेक्निक. ओके, ॲज फार ॲज फायनान्शियल बजेट इज कन्सिडर. लागणारा पैसा, जागेची कमतरता ह्या सगळ्या गोष्टींचा विचार करता ही चांगली टेक्निक असते. ओके, आणि बऱ्याच ठिकाणी जवळपास सगळीकडे ही गोष्ट वापरली जाते. सो व्हॉट ॲक्च्युली वी आर डुईंग इट. ओके, आपल्याला ते महत्त्वाचं काय शिकायचं ह्याच्यातनं, की एकाच ठिकाणी आपण मल्टिपल थ्रेड्स बनवू शकतो, एकाच प्रोसेसमध्ये मल्टिपल थ्रेड्स बनवू शकतो, आणि त्यामुळे लागणारा खर्च आणि लागणारा प्रोसेसर लोड काय असतो, कमी असतो. इथे खर्च धरायचा नाही कॉम्प्युटर सिस्टीममध्ये, प्रोसेसर लोडच्या बाबतीमध्ये काम करायचं. सो दॅट्स वाय विदिन अ सिंगल प्रोसेस देर आर मल्टिपल थ्रेड्स फॉर एव्हरी इनपुट रिक्वेस्ट अँड वी आर हँडलिंग इट. Okay, once all requests are completed, we can give some timeline also. Okay, we can say that my server or our server is working from morning 8 a.m. to evening 6 p.m. Okay, after that our services will be stopped. Okay, and the services will resume from next morning 8 a.m. Okay, so within that particular period we are having a maintenance activity. It is up to you. Okay, how many clients you are having, what type of application you are building, okay, where you want to locate it, where you are located, okay, what is the scale of your application. Okay, all these factors are there. Okay, depends upon all these factors, this particular timings can be managed. Okay, so it is not required that every application should be work for a 24/7. It is up to the requirement. So I will give one small example. Initially, on the SBI application, you can open, or you can transfer money from one account to another account. Okay, within a particular time period, generally from 8 a.m. in the morning to 6 p.m. in the evening. After that, if you are doing any NEFT transfer, then that NEFT transfer will be given to a next working day. So initially it is there because we are having a limited amount of load. Nowadays what happens, as per the guidelines of RBI, what they have suggested, what they have make changes in their web application is that, okay, now you can transfer your money by using an NEFT platform or some other transfer platform like a Google Pay or Paytm and so on. Okay, all these online platforms are available in the market nowadays from last 2 to 3 years. Okay, after that particular demonetization activity. So now what happens, as per the guidelines, okay, every online banking system has to provide access for 24/7 application, 24/7 access for a money transfer. आताच्या काळामध्ये जवळपास 24/7 आपल्याला मनी ट्रान्सफर ॲप्लिकेशन ॲक्टिव्हिटी करता येते. काही काळ प्रत्येक बँक मेंटेनन्ससाठी घेत असते, टेक्निकल मेंटेनन्ससाठी काही काळ बंद असते. अदरवाईज जनरली हे 24/7, अदरवाईज किंवा बऱ्याच केसेसमध्ये 24/7 ती ॲक्टिव्हिटी चालते. तर सुरुवातीच्या काळामध्ये लिमिटेड ॲक्सेस होता, लिमिटेड ट्रान्सफर करता येत होतं. आताच्या काळामध्ये आपल्याला जवळपास 24/7 ट्रान्सफर ॲक्टिव्हिटी करता येते. त्यातला काही काळ बऱ्याच वेळेला बँका काय करतात की त्यांच्या मेंटेनन्स ॲक्टिव्हिटीसाठी बंद ठेवतात सर्व्हर, अदरवाईज तुम्ही नेहमी ट्रान्सफर ॲक्टिव्हिटी करू शकता. ओके, सो दिस इज द मॉडर्नायझेशन, दिस इज द रिक्वायरमेंट. आता स्केल वाढलं, ॲप्लिकेशन्सचं स्केल वाढलं म्हणून आपल्याला मनी ट्रान्सफरसुद्धा जास्त वेळ ठेवावं लागलं. त्याआधीचा विचार करा, ऑनलाईन प्लॅटफॉर्म ज्यावेळेला अवेलेबल नव्हते, ऑफलाईन मोडमध्ये जेव्हा ह्या सगळ्या ॲक्टिव्हिटी होत होत्या, त्यावेळेला बँकेचे जे काय वर्किंग अवर्स असतील, ओके, समजा सकाळी 10ला ओपन होत असेल तर संध्याकाळी 3:30 पर्यंत. ओके, वर्किंग अवर्स 10 ते 5:30 आहेत, पण बँक पूर्ण वेळ कस्टमरसाठी अवेलेबल नव्हती. सकाळी 10 पासून संध्याकाळी 3:30 पर्यंत एवढ्या वेळामध्येच किंवा दुपारी 3:30 पर्यंतच तुम्ही मनी ट्रान्सफर करू शकत होता. लिमिटेड ॲक्सेस होता, त्यानंतर ॲक्सेस तुम्हाला मिळत नव्हता. ओके, ही हल्लीपर्यंतची गोष्ट आहे, 2005-2006 मधली गोष्ट सांगतोय. ज्या वेळेला आम्ही इंजिनिअरिंग करत होतो त्या काळामध्ये सुद्धा मनी ट्रान्सफर ॲक्टिव्हिटीसाठी लिमिटेड टाईम अवेलेबल होता. आताच्या काळामध्ये लिमिटेड टाईम अवेलेबल नाही. यू कॅन ट्रान्सफर युअर मनी ॲट अ नाईट ऑल्सो. सो इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन द स्केल ऑफ ॲप्लिकेशन. गरज किती आहे ॲप्लिकेशनची आणि कस्टमर किती आहेत, क्लायंट किती आहेत, त्याच्यावर डिपेंडेंट असतं की किती वेळ सर्व्हिस अवेलेबल करून द्यायची. Okay, so it does not have any time limitations. Okay, so कन्सिडर करण्यासाठी मी म्हटलं की आपण सकाळी 8ला आपला सर्व्हर स्टार्ट केला आणि दुपारी 2 वाजता बंद केला. ज्या वेळेला आपण सर्व्हर बंद करतो, इंटरनली काय करतो, आपण जावा सर्व्हलेटला डिस्ट्रॉय करतो. वी आर डिस्ट्रॉईंग दिस जावा सर्व्हलेट. Okay, so we are entering in a end state. So these are the states. Okay, and by performing these methods we can enter from one state to another state, and this is the end of a life cycle. So this is the start of a life cycle, this is the end of a life cycle. So applet moves from these 4 steps: loading and instantiation, then ready state, then handling a request, and last one is the end state. So I think the Java servlet life cycle is clear to you. Okay, so I have given some real world example also. You can relate, always relate your concepts with the real world example, so that you can imbibe all these concepts in your mind. Okay, this is very important. Once you understand these things in detail, okay, then you can answer any question, whether it is a multiple choice question or whether it is an objective question. You can easily answer it, as well as it will be beneficial for you for your interview process also, right? So here we have discussed about the life cycle of applet. We will go to a next point. Now what we will see here, that is, there are three approaches to create any Java servlet program. Now we will go on a Java servlet, how to create a Java servlet program or how to write a Java servlet program. The first approach is we can use a servlet interface. So servlet is an interface which is readily available. So I will using a notation called as I stands for interface. So servlet interface we can use it, which is created by the architecture developer, and you can readily use this particular servlet interface. So you can directly implement this servlet interface and you can write your Java servlet code. It is possible. This is the approach 1. Second approach is you can use generic servlet. So generic servlet is a class. By using this generic servlet, okay, you can create your own Java code or own Java application. So you can extend this generic servlet class and you can build your Java application. This is the second approach. And the last approach is HTTP servlet. What we can use? HTTP servlet. Again, HTTP servlet is a class. So you can extend this HTTP servlet, and by using HTTP servlet class, you can create your Java servlet application. Out of these three approaches, what we prefer or what we utilize, that is the HTTP servlet. Okay, so previous two approaches are there. We can use these approaches also, but currently in a real world or in the market or in the industry, they are using a HTTP servlet or higher versions of HTTP servlet. In nowadays, we are having a HTTPD servlet, that is a secure version, because HTTPS protocol is available. Initially HTTP protocol is available, now HTTPS, S stands for secure. Okay, secure version of HTTP is available in the market. So that's why accordingly they are using appropriate HTTP class. So important thing is that we are using a HTTP servlet, okay, to build our Java servlet application. Okay, what is the difference between generic servlet and HTTP servlet? In case of generic servlet, initially a generic servlet is used. When this internet technology comes into the market from 2000 and 2001 onwards, what happens? Initially, they are not using specific protocol for internet services. There are a number of protocols available. FTP available and so on. There are DNS is available, and there are a number of different protocols available given by the different organizations, and they are using those protocols. Okay. So for different protocols, your application, your Java servlet application has to work with the different protocols, because particular client may be using one protocol another client may be using another protocol. So depending upon the protocol of your customer, you have to process the request and show the output. So there is no specific protocol available or specific quality protocol available in the market. So that's why client is using their own protocol, and there is a vast diversification, okay, of usage of a protocol for internet services. That's why initially we are using, or application developer is using, a generic servlet. From the name itself you can identify, generic means general. So what type of protocol it is, your application, Java servlet application, has to work with that protocol. But nowadays what happens, okay, as the internet services advanced, okay, what happens, okay, generally nowadays we are using a HTTP protocol or HTTPS protocol for internet services. So now this is very crystal clear, okay, what protocol you are using, or what protocol your clients are using for internet services, and it is a crystal clear. The protocol is the HTTP, hypertext transfer protocol, right? And it is having it is superior or better as compared to other protocols. That's why client is using it. So now this, if this is fixed, in that case, instead of using a generic servlet, what architecture developer has suggested that you can use the HTTP servlet. So more refined version of generic servlet class is created and that version is called as a HTTP servlet. So from servlet interface, generic servlet is created. Okay, so generic servlet is implementing servlet interface, and from generic servlet what is created, HTTP servlet is created. So HTTP servlet is extending generic servlet. So this is class, so HTTP servlet is extending generic servlet, and generic servlet is implementing servlet. So all the functionalities which are available in the servlet interface and the functionalities which are available in the generic servlet are available with the HTTP servlet. As we are extending HTTP servlet, okay, all previous functionalities is available in our program or in our Java servlet. So no need to create those functionalities, those previous functionalities. You can directly code your application, okay, as per requirement of your client. So now it is clear what are the three approaches and which approach we are preferring over other approaches. That is the third approach we are using it to create our Java servlet applications. Okay, thank you for watching this video. In the next session we will directly see how to write a Java servlet program on NetBeans IDE or Eclipse IDE. Thank you. Okay, stay home, stay safe.